Well, I think it's just like every week. You come and you prepare hard every week. Our kids prepared hard for Nebraska, and played hard. Just comes down, like I said all the time, 8 or 10 plays, and those 8 or 10 plays we didn't make. But preparing for Ohio State is a team that has they have for several years. Got outstanding athletes, and it's a difficult team to prepare for. I prepared for them when Chris was at Ohio State, and they were good when Chris was there, and they're good now. And defensively, they rotate 8 defensive linemen. That's probably where their strength is, and linebacking core. And I think they started some young corners early in the year, but they seem to be getting a lot better. So it's pretty much. I think if you talk to Urban, I think he feels pretty good about his football team.
What are your recollections of the 2 times you played them at Minnesota, trying to prepare, trying to deal with their personnel? Just what do you remember the most?
Well, dealing with his, if you're talking from a defensive side, it's a little bit different, since Chris has left, and but it's not in some ways. I think there's a lot of stuff that Chris did that they still do, and then Shiano's added, some things that he brought from the NFL. But if you prepare against Urban's team, from an offense to defense, kicking game, because I've done it all as a head coach, is that they're going to make it tough on you. They're not only good athletically, they're well coached, and when you get that combination, that's why they win national championships.
Just to follow that up, what is JT Barrett doing now that maybe he wasn't doing 2-3 years ago when you were first?
Throwing the ball better. Okay. Throwing the ball. They're putting him in good positions to throw the ball.
How do you prepare for that defensive line during the week? Because you can't really simulate the guys that they're rotating.
No, you're not going to simulate that, that's for sure. And I think a lot of it's mental work. You got to spend a lot of time in the film room. And, we played Washington, who was a pretty good defensive line. Nebraska had a pretty good defensive line. The difference is these kids they're fast. They're big, strong, and fast. Every one of them's athletic. And it's hard to simulate game speed that they have. We're not going to. And so we mentally have to spend a lot of time on film and things of that nature to grasp that, and then come out and practice, the execution the best we can. But we're not going to get the speed of the game from, we don't have that.
Jerry, you mentioned Nebraska and Washington games. Both those games you had like a 75-yard drive to start the game, and then haven't been able to replicate that within the game. What do you attribute that to? Is the other team making adjustments, or why start out so well and then not?
Well, I've been places where we haven't started out very well, and then we really cruise, and for whatever reason we stalled. I'm sure it's part of me. I don't blame kids ever. Maybe not doing a good enough job for whatever reasons, we might catch them off balance a little bit, right off the start, and they're not sure about us, and we go out there and hit them in the mouth, and we move, and then they wake up a little bit, maybe part of it, but we've really moved the ball. It isn't like after that first series that we didn't move the ball. Is that we have 2 false starts in your 1st and 15. When we had 3 or 4 drop balls. You take about 10 plays out of the offensive part of it, and you go, hey, you feel good about it, but those 10 plays are big plays in the game. A couple routes that we dropped on crossing routes could have went for a long way. And then, anytime you start 1st and 15 and you're playing a good defensive football team, you're not in very good shape. So I think it's a combination of many things, and we just got to get better together, and we're not playing, our first 3 games a little bit different than a lot of other people's first 3 games. So I think we're still learning about kids and what they can do.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about Bo Melton. Just 1 catch through 4 games. What's been the reason that he hasn't really
He's
had
still
on?
learning.
Yeah,
he's still learning. It's hard as a freshman coming in and trying to play big-time college football. You're lining up against Nebraska in front of 90,000 people, and I just think all the young freshmen that are playing, they're still learning, and they go through a learning process. So and I'm not, it's nothing that I didn't figure it happened. You got to play them, and they'll get better as you play them.
Two more questions?
I guess building off that question, Hunter Hayek started and played pretty well against Nebraska. What did you see from him?
Again, a freshman that's learning, and you know, he had a great camp and caught a lot of balls in camp and got his opportunity and did a nice job.
I would say with Jonathan Lewis, another guy that's learning, but is it situational again with him this week?
You know, if I said that there's a mistake that I made during the game as a coach is not getting him in the game, and part of the reasons what they did, they were pretty much a base defense before we went into the game, and then they blitzed us about every other snap. And I mean, they showed us stuff. After the first series, you asked me about the first series. After that, they blitzed us 2 out of 3 snaps, and I didn't want to put Jonathan in a bad situation, you know, with some of the things, and probably should have went ahead and done it and, you know, learned by the process, but you know, didn't do it. Felt bad about it, and you know, sometimes that happens in a coach and in a game like that, you know, and so you know, he'll get his opportunity, and but that was the biggest reason, and we're trying to do more. You know, again, I want to put him in good situations, and I just didn't feel like, you know, the way things were going at that time, that we could make a lot of changes. But then going back after and look at it, I said, what the hell, you know, probably should have. So we all, you know, I mean, you know, so if that was one thing that, you know, after all the other things I don't regret. I think we did have a good game plan, we did a lot of good things, but that's the thing I do regret, is not, you know, getting him, you know, in the game and playing, and not just playing a couple snaps, you know, or something like that, or here and there, you know, and planned on doing it and didn't do it. So, you know, that's my fault, and I don't blame anybody else for it.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks,
Thank you.